Hello, hello.
We are hearing you.
Can hear you,
Oh,
Good
sir.
morning, sir. Good morning, sir. We
all
can
right.
hear you, sir.
Okay, brilliant. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I think it's probably good time for us to start. So I'll just wait for another 2, 3 minutes and we'll just start. Just give me a minute, please. Um, this is the third class we'll be having since we started this the actual NID course on business informatics. And as I said, this is our flagship program. This is the most important, it's our flagship program and it's the most important program to us. Um, because it's a beautiful course that combines business elements and basics of business and management, and also with uh, combines it with technology. So that's why we stand behind our claim that states that this course in itself is better than an MBA program. And of course, when you say that to people, people are thinking that what do you mean? Um, uh, what do you mean by that? And I think we can prove it, and I think we've been able to prove it a bit. We've had two classes. The first class was on business, introduction to business, and that was an extensive course. I know a couple of people have asked me for the slides. I did not really use, I just brought different things from different portions of my of on my computer. So I did not really use any slide, but I brought up a couple of things. But Edith has been on my case, and I have promised her that I will work on the slides for you. So the people who have been very much interested in, oh, you know what, can we get the slides you use on the first in the first class? I will ensure that you get them. All right. So I welcome you all to um this course today. I am hoping that we can cover a lot of ground. When I started looking into the entire NID course, especially for this program, which once again is our own flagship program, I was like, this is a lot for people. This is a lot for a course that the requirement is that you have done, what's that thing called? The requirement is that you have done, uh, you have SSC. This is a lot. It's extremely extensive and intensive. So it's not just extensive, it is also very intensive. So it is a lot for what it is that we're trying to do, but it's fine. A lot of people are asking that I share something uh on on my WhatsApp profile, that I should share the link. So please just give me a minute. Um let me just get that out of the way. Let me just look for something that put something on my profile, my WhatsApp profile for a lot of people. So please just give me a minute, all right? let me just continue. I'm struggling to get this done. Let me just continue with the class. It's very as it is. All right. So let me share my screen. There is a lot we have to do today. Today we're doing all the stuff around public administration. So I hope everybody can hear me clearly as I move ahead with the class in itself. All right. Messi, can you please confirm you can hear me clearly?
Yeah,
Every
loud and clear, sir.
Brilliant. All right. Good, good, good. So okay, so let me just share my screen. Yep, yep. Mhm. Okay, good. Okay, good. I would like to believe you can all see my screen. Okay. Okay, good. So once again, this is the National Innovation Diploma. The course in itself is Business Informatics, and I believe it's a brilliant course. It's a beautiful course in itself, and I do think that everybody should take advantage of the course in itself. So it's a brilliant course, a National Innovation Diploma in Business Informatics. Uh, theme topic course for today is this is going on, yeah. Oh, is public administration today. Is public administration. Okay, so for those who want to work for the government, we should have professionals working for the government. There has to be a new period in this world whereby we're especially in this country Nigeria, where we have qualified people, skilled people, experienced people who work for the government. So there has to be a time like that in this country where people need to be skilled, need to be qualified, need to be experienced, and have the right values and virtues to be able to work for the government. So today we're going to learn about public administration. The curriculum is clear. It's not I didn't come up with the curriculum. It's directly from the MBTE, the curriculum that we're using. So we discussed this the last time. We're going to discuss it all every time. I especially when I come on this call. This is the whole of year one, and this year one is going to be done by August. This year one is going to be done by August. And so we're going to have our first semester, which we started, which we're in the first semester as we speak, semester one and two, and we're going to do them over 4 months each. And then we're going to regularize our calendar and do year two from September of this year. So, in the next 6, 7 months, we're going to cover everything that is on my screen. As I said, some areas I'm going to teach myself. The ones that I've highlighted, I've already done entrepreneurship. I've already done business. In year two, there's going to be something called the practice of entrepreneurship, and there's also going to be something called the principles of management one. So all that is going to be in the second semester. So practice and that one will be in second semester. Second semester, we're also going to have business applications. So I'm teaching some of these areas myself. But there's some areas I wouldn't teach. I can't teach number one. I don't know enough to teach number two. Number five, there will definitely be some other people that can teach it better than I can. And then, of course, definitely also not teaching number seven and number eight. So I'm going to be a student when it comes to some of those areas. Though in my lifetime, I have done all those courses myself in one school or the other. I have two MBA degrees. So I have done everything here. Nevertheless, I'm not sure I feel confident enough to be able to teach them. And moreover, since that's not exactly what it is that I do, I'd rather just stick to the things that relate to what it is that I do so that the entire training will not just be theoretical. So this is the whole of year one, and we're going to be done with this year one. We've already finished some things. We've already done entrepreneurship. We've already done introduction to business. Today we're doing elements of public administration. That's what we're doing today, and we're going to move very quickly to be able to cover these things and make sure by the end of April we're done. Going to make sure that by the end of April we're done uh, with uh, with these things, and then in the second half of the year, we're going to do English language and communication skills. We're going to do citizenship education number two. We're going to do the practice of entrepreneurship. We're going to do business computer applications. We're going to do business math, and with our business math, we're going to try to align it with a lot of Excel and also principles of management. So we're going to, so you can also see that economics has got part one and part two, accounts has got part one and part two, and even this public administration has got like a second portion to it that talks about social psychology. And in the second semester, we're also going to do something called Introduction to System Analysis and Design, which I'm going to be taking myself. So I'm extremely excited, and we're working very hard. The team is working extremely hard to ensure that these things are done well and done professionally, as it is. And from September, we're going to get into year two, and these are the kinds of things that we're going to do. So in year two, which starts in September all the way to August next year, thereabout. I mean, it's not going to be, there's going to be a summer break. People are expected to also do some kind of internship, and we're going to work with people on various internships and also work with them on their projects. These are the kinds of things we're going to do in year two. And by the time we get to year two, you can even see that there, for me, I've highlighted the areas that I'm going to teach, because some areas I won't call myself an expert in some of those areas as it is. So we have the likes of Boma, who is on the call, who will teach some of these things, and some other experts will come to teach different areas of this whole thing as at when needed. So it's a big deal as it is, and it's because of the loaded content that I'm able to categorically say that indeed this is better than an MBA program. And the way we're teaching it, the way we're approaching it not just from a theoretical perspective, but also from a practical perspective. So it's not just the theory of doing these things, it's also the practice, so that you can go back to your offices, you can, during the week, you can look at the material, and you would also understand, how can these things help me either to get a job, or to improve my career, or to improve my business, to improve my life generally. How can the things that we are learning help us improve our lives, our careers, getting a job? Some people are young on this call and they want to get better jobs. Some people work in retail and they want to get a professional job. How can learning these things, not just to learn them so that I can pass an exam, but to learn them in such a way that it will help me in my life, in my career, in my business, and the things that I lay my hands upon to do. So there's got to be a practical side to it. And that's why in our teaching, we will teach the theory. I would also teach the practice of the thing. We're also going to make it simple for all our participants. We're not going to ensure that this is not very difficult for them. And the way and the manner by which we're going to do that is to ensure that, we provide a sample question. So, for example, we're going to have about 150 questions, between 100 and 150 questions for each course. So that, by the idea is that by the time you've gone through all those questions, you've mastered them, you can score, you know everything, then it'll be easy for you to pass the exam. This is not like in a typical African school where they want you to fail. We're going to ensure that you pass. We're going to ensure that you know the things that, in themselves, and that you also pass. So we're going to do those two things. We're not going to ensure that you know it and pass alone, but you also ensure that you can apply it in your life, in your career, within your business, within your organization, and things like that. So it's extremely rich course. And that's why I say I can beat my chest that this is better than an MBA program. So we're going to enjoying you to please spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your cousins, tell your aunties, tell your enemies. As it is that they should come here. This will be the best, one of the best gifts they'll be able to give to themselves for the whole year in itself. So it's great once again to be here and to have all of you here. I know some people are physically in a training office, and most people are online as it is. Okay, good. So I showed them this slide week one. I also showed you week two, and I also think it is important that I show it this week three. So I showed this week one, I showed it week two, and I think it's also very important because you have to, we say the objectives of every business, but we can even increase it and say the objectives of every organization by and large. And I know some of you on the call, you work for government institutions, and while your government institution might not be a revenue generating and profit making entity, you must, however, show judicious use of the funds and the things that are being given to you. You must show judicious use of all those things. So it's important that you understand this, because you work for a government institution or you work for an NGO does not translate into you not being able to show um good stewardship is what it is that I will say. You must show stewardship of funds that are kept in your in your custody. So this is very important that you show excellent stewardship, right, of monies, of anything that's got of anything that's got to do with finance. So that excellent stewardship is also very important. Yeah, and this is what one of the things that is missing, especially in government institutions. A lot of people don't think it is useful or necessary for them to show excellent stewardship of the monies. They look at it that, oh, whether we make, it doesn't matter. We don't have to make money and we're still going to get paid. It doesn't matter. We don't have to make money and we're still going to get all our benefits. But if you ever are going to be the head of one of those entities in the new world, in the new Nigeria that we're hoping for, that we're looking forward to, that we're all envisaging, if you're ever going to show great stewardship, then if you're ever going to run one of those organizations, then it's got to be clear to you that you need to show good stewardship. You need to show good stewardship as it is. So every organization, these are the kinds of things. Everybody's got customers, and if you work in government, we can say, okay, well, maybe we don't want to call them your customers, maybe we want to call them your stakeholders. You must ensure that your stakeholders are happy and that you're delivering value to them. That's very important. So by and large, these are key things. You see that we're going to speak about number 7 today. We've spoken about it in the past. um we're going to speak about it today. We've also spoken about number 8 in the past. We're also going to speak about it to an extent today. These are all important things, and that's why I'm saying that, these things are important. These things are essential to you, to your life, to the things that you do. They're important to your career. They're important even in your home. That in your home, the way you're running your home, the way you're running your kitchen, the way you're running inventory, the way you're also parenting your children, that these kinds of things, I think parents should be able to speak to their children and say, you know what, my son, my daughter, you need to be able to consistently innovate. There's got to be a new, better way of doing things. You have to ensure that the products and the services that you give out, that they're excellent. So these are things. These conversations are not just should I say, relegated to just they're not relegated to just this a class, or just because you want to pass an exam. Indeed, these are all things that you and I we need to be doing, we need to be talking about. We need to ensure that our children and all that they're going along these lines. And we also have the second portion of it. And because of time, I won't have the time to go through all this. But because we've spoken about them, some of them in the earlier classes that I have taken. So, for example, brand and reputation is a big deal. Brand and reputation is a big deal. So this is important that you get on top of things once again like this. So is you as a person, your brand and reputation is important. Your business, your brand and reputation is important, right? So your organization, your brand and your reputation is important. Risks are important. So there are many things that are very important. And in this modern world, everybody needs to be familiar with number 18. Your organization is not going to move forward. In fact, one of the topics we're going to be looking at today is that what do you need to become a CEO? What do you need to become a CEO in an organization? What should you have? What are the capabilities? What are the kinds of things that you should have to be a good CEO? And if you're going to be a good CEO, some of you are going to become directors, some of you are going to become the director generals in your own ministry, some of you are going to become commissioners, some of you are going to become governors, and even the president, and the president even of the country. So some people that are going to go through this course are going to get to heights even beyond the imagination of you and I. Some people that are on this course are going to get to heights that their friends, their neighbors will never have imagined that they will get to. Some people it would be like that. It would actually be like that. And these are important things. These are essential things. These are critical things that all of us we should know, and once again we should be very familiar with. So that's it, right? So we're not going away from IT. Technology is with us forever. There is no going away from it. Every day, last week I was still speaking with somebody, and we were this week that is ending today, not even last week. um um as it is, and we're still talking about artificial intelligence. Yesterday night, I still had a meeting with somebody who works for Microsoft, and we're talking about how some Microsoft has a platform called Copilot, and Microsoft has something called Power Apps. And he used to work for me. Now he works for Microsoft, and he was still saying that this is important, this is critical. Yesterday, so I mean to organizations, and that's why one of the things I said in year two, everybody remember I said it here. In year two, we're going to be learning in semester two, we're all going to be learning this thing called business computer applications in the second semester, and this is critical, right? We're also going to be learning data management here. These are all critical things, and we're also going to be learning web development. There is no business, there is no institution. This present world cannot survive without technology. It is impossible. Did you hear me? It is impossible for this world right now to survive without technology. In some advanced countries, in some advanced countries, they will close down completely their water system, their electricity system. All their systems are tied to technology, and there are no alternatives. Hospitals, I mean, I can remember in a Nigerian hospital, because of the what's that thing that they use in if the child comes out premature, and they use in giving them can somebody put it in the chat room for me? They use in giving them oxygen to babies, because they didn't have electricity. More than 10 babies died within one day. So I was there because I mean I also had somebody who was giving birth as at that same time. So this world, technology is key. In the second year, look at all the technology related things. These are pure technology related things. in year two, right? So you can see that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 core technology courses in year two. 6 core technology courses. Let me see. Somebody has put the thing. Incubators. Thank you. Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Right. Good. So yeah, incubators and people died. So this world, literally, I mean, without phones, a lot of places, almost everything, the gates of people's homes are all electronically controlled. So in year two, look at all the core technology things that we're going to be doing in year two. A lot of technology related things that we're going to be doing in year two. In year one, of course, there's still also technology related things in there, but it's more in year two. So year one is really just about introduction to computing, business computing applications, business computer applications, and introduction to system analysis and design. So but in year two, there's going to be a lot of technology related things. So people have to get computers. They have to plan to spend a lot of time on their computers so that you and I, we just don't know enough computing. So when we say business applications, these are some of the business applications are now on this call. Even with my clients, banks, insurance companies, pension companies, hardly can you put 10 people in a room and people will be able to score more than 3/10 when it comes to the average of their capability to use these tools. Most people struggle here. And today we're doing public administration. This is also key and it is essential. It's important that that government workers, that they're very comfortable with this. It's important that you and I we follow the concept called the knowledge workers. This is very important that we follow the concept of knowledge workers. People who are educated, people who know how to use computers appropriately. I mean, most people cannot use these applications. Most people cannot prepare a table of content in Microsoft Word. Most people struggle to create a clean PowerPoint presentation like what it is that I'm showing. Excel is even the worst. They on the average, most people don't even know how to use Excel at all, how to use Publisher, OneNote, Microsoft Teams, how to use Outlook to manage emails and to manage communication. One out of every 100 knows how to use Microsoft Access. So and these are basic applications that I learned how to use a lot of these things when I left secondary school. So a lot of these applications I learned how to use them when I left secondary school. When I was in year one, year two, I learned how to use a lot of these applications. So these are some of the things. So second semester we're going to start to drill down into some of these applications as part of our business applications course, right? So business computer applications in second semester, these are the same applications we're going to be talking about. And you need to put this on yourself. You need to have some kind of personal commitment to going to learn these things. We can't teach you everything. It's impossible. We only meet for now on Saturdays. If you're going to be able to meet the requirements and do well, you're going to spend a decent time during your week learning. So we can't teach everything. Nobody can teach everything when it comes to computers. So especially the fact that this is a free school. So you need to go pay a lot of attention to some of these things yourself. We're also going to teach you this Odoo platform. I still had a meeting with a client that runs an oil and gas company yesterday, and this was the conversation. I left the client place about 5 p.m. yesterday, and this was the conversation. They had deployed this, but they didn't really optimize it. Now the CEO wants to get on top of it himself. You can't be on this call. You can't be on this course. You cannot be a student of Transformation College. And when somebody speaks to you about what is an ERP, you say you don't know. And this is what public institutions are meant to be doing. Public institutions are meant to be adopting solutions that can help them drive what they're doing. Every public institution needs to manage their staff. They all need to manage their finances. All need to show stewardship for their finances. A lot of institutions have inventory. They need to manage that, right? So a lot of them do projects. They need to manage those projects appropriately. So it is important and it is essential that you get your head around what is called an ERP. You cannot be our student. You cannot graduate without knowing what is an ERP, without being comfortable with what is an ERP. You have to know these things. You have to be familiar with these things as a student of our school. If you're going to be one of our representatives, if you're going to be one of our ambassadors, then this should not be strange. This should not be something you've not heard of. You don't know what it is, and things like that. I mean, how do you become somebody who is going to become great in the year 2024 or 25 or 26? Some people are already making. There was a report I was looking at that talks about the I think what was that thing yesterday that I looked at? Something in 2063, something around this United Nations. Let me see. It was already talking about what's that thing? I saw it yesterday. We're looking at it yesterday. Um, it's something around African nations in 2063 agenda or something like that for Africa. Yes. So everybody, if you go online and you see Agenda 2063, can you imagine? 2063. How many years from now is that? Does anybody know? Something called Africa's Blueprint for 2063. Does anybody know about it? 2063, right? The African agenda. If so, some people are young here. 2063 is how many years from now? Isn't that like what? 25 will take us to 50 plus 10, 35. Uh, that's precise. That's about 37 years or 38 years from now. And there is a document, let me put it in the chat room, that has been captured for 2063. Where is my chart? Yes. Good, 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 good. 2063. I put it in here. So some of you are young. Some people on this call, they're in their 20s. All right. So everybody, I put a link in the chat room. Agenda for 2063. So some of you, some people are like 20 years of age. They're lucky. They're very young, right? And it talks about where Africa should be, or where Africa should be aspiring to be in 2063. So if you want to be a major player in 2063, there's a link. You can download the PDF directly. It's a 24-page document. That this is an aspirational goal for Africa, about 70 something key things. What am I saying? Not 70 something. Yes, about 76 key things in terms of Africa, where the Africa will be at that time. That time I will be old. I'll be my 70s. If I add 30 something more, what am I saying? I'll be 80. in, in 2063, I'll be 80 something. So I'm not sure there'll be a lot I will be doing as at that time, except I'm like Joshua, who will be like, you know what, I can still take this up at 80 something. But some of you are young. So as at that time, you still have a lot that you can do. It's a beautiful document. The agenda, everybody, you try to download the document. Your brain cells need to be working along these lines. If you plan to be somebody who's going to be big, as at that time you're going to be a nation builder. You're going to be somebody who is key to this world, especially to Africa. Can you hear me? Mute that person, please. There's somebody who is also speaking and I can hear that person, right? There's somebody who's speaking, please. Okay. So, everybody, who are those that have been able to see the document? So it's a 2063 document, and I think it's a document that you should lay your hands on. I think it's a document you should be comfortable with. I think it's a document you need to study. It will help you significantly as you look to grow yourself, look to grow your capability as a person. So once again, these are all essential things. If you plan to play a part in the future of this world as you and I know it, technology has got to be key in terms of some of the things that we're doing. Well, I put this back here. We did it last week. It's brilliant when we did this. We said these are the skills. So I won't say only for an entrepreneur. I won't say only for an entrepreneur. So we'll say, we can say these are the skills for managers also, great managers and even leaders. So yeah, we can say that these are skills for managers, leaders, entrepreneurs. And we've numbered it 12, but it's way more than 12 because we've packed many things into some of them. So people who were on the call last week, we did this together. Says, so once again, everybody go to, if you're on this call, go to the chat room and tell me your score. What do you think you score? Look at this page carefully. Give it to me in terms of a percentage. Do you think you will score 40% on this page? Look at it carefully. I think most people will end up scoring about 10% if they are very objective. So everybody, test yourself quickly. Test yourself. What do you think you will score as a person? Put your score in the chat room. I want to see it. I want to see your score in the chat room. I definitely would like to see your score in the chat room. Everybody. Okay? I like to see your score in the chat room. I like to see your score in the chat room. Okay? What do you think you're going to score, everybody? There's a lot we have packed onto this one page. And once again, these are the kinds of things, um, you know, uh, these are the kinds of things that, you people should know. Business applications, ERP, business applications, okay? Uh, like, uh, like what we say, um, Microsoft, Microsoft Office, something like that. Do you get? So when we take technology skills, do you know anything about AI? Those kinds of things, right? It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. You and I are going to be leaders in this world, brothers and sisters. We will be leaders. That's what this whole course is about. We will end up being leaders. We will end up being great leaders. We will end up being great leaders uh, in this world. We will end up being great leaders. So it's very important that we we master things like this. It's very important that you and I we have these kinds of skill sets. It's important and it is critical that we have these kinds of skill sets. Okay. Okay. So, but and you can't be a great public administrator. It's impossible for you to be a great public administrator without this kind of knowledge. It is impossible for you to be a great public administrator without these skills. Now, we're very careful when we call it skills. So, not just knowledge, because we're not talking about you just knowing these things mentally. And that's the thing that happens. A lot of people know things mentally, they have a mental picture of a lot of things. Mentally, they know things. Mentally, but I'm not talking about mentally knowing something. I'm talking about you being able to demonstrate these things, clear demonstration of these things in your life, in your interactions, in your business, in your career, in your organization, in your church, in your mosque, whatever that area is, you being able to demonstrate, mastery of these kinds of things. Okay. All right. So that's what I mean. This is, in a sense, what this all costs. These are business informatics, the National Innovation Diploma in Business Informatics. This is, in a sense, all the kinds of things you need to know. These, in a sense, these are the kinds of things you need to know. Strategy, visioning. You cannot be a great administrator. You cannot be a great administrator without these things. If you're going to be a great leader, if you're going to be a great manager, if you're going to be a great administrator, you need to know these kinds of things. These things should not be a surprise for you. So you should take a screenshot. You should go and put it on your wall, by the side of your wall. And that's why I'm going to join all of you that are on this call. All right. It's a free course. Please call your friends, call your neighbors, call people, tell them to join you on this course. This will do them a lot of good in their lives. This will do them a lot of good in their personal, individual, and even professional lives. All right. So let us move on. So I've been able to lay some foundation. Some of these things we've done them in the past. We're doing them again. How can you plan to be great in this life professionally, right? Without knowing the things on the screen. You don't have great problem solving um skills. Or in fact, here, let me also add something that let me do something. We also call something um solution, right? Problem solving and solution definition skills. And a lot of people don't have those kinds of skill sets. People don't I was still telling somebody who works for me this week. I was like, you know what, you keep explaining the problem to me. Give me a possible solution. Give me a feasible solution. Stop explaining the problem to me. I understand the problem. I know we have a problem. Okay. Here is also the skill set around doing feasibility studies. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. Is this feasible? Right? What we're saying is it feasible? A lot of people don't know that. And feasibility studies um is key when it comes to decision making. Feasibility study is is essential, especially when it comes to decision making. You cannot be a great leader. All right, that you can't be a great leader without having to make decisions. You will always have to make decisions. There will always be one decision or the other that you will need to make. And at the end of the day, this world will judge you as a leader, as a manager, based on the quality of the decisions that you made. If you make great decisions, then that will be good. If you do not make great decisions, then you will get whatever it is that is the effect. So, once again, brothers and sisters, and everybody that is on the call, these are the kinds of skill sets that we hope to impart into you. Not just the knowledge, right? But also the skills, right? And there's a difference between knowledge versus skills. Skills is hands-on. Knowledge is theoretical and mental, and it's good that you have knowledge, right? Um, so it's good that you have knowledge, and knowledge in itself uh, is is the base, is the foundation, right? Um, Knowledge in itself is the foundation, right? But the focus for us is the skills. The skills is the doing in itself. So while it's good for you to be very knowledgeable, it's even better when you're skilled. Somebody was still saying that in some private university, they had a problem with the generator, and they called all the engineering departments, electrical, computer, mechanical, and none of them, all the professors, all of them, none of them could fix the generator. Not one person could do it. And they called this guy, about 18, 19 years old, completely uneducated, not even primary school. And he spent 15 minutes and the generator for the school was working. So that's the difference between knowledge and skill. I was listening to the bishop on YouTube, and it was the one, he said that in their university that they had a problem with the generator. They called all the professors, right? And none of them could do it. were very knowledgeable, but they were not skilled in the practical side of things. Of course, they can build models, they can do inventions and things like that, but we also need skills. It's important. Imagine if I was seated on this call and I can't use PowerPoint. I'm knowledgeable of this topic, but I cannot use PowerPoint. I did not give my PowerPoint to Edith or to Mercy or to Boma to do for me. I did it myself. So it's important that I'm knowledgeable. It's also important that I'm skilled. And I'm not just somebody who speaks. I'm not just a theoretical expert. I will become somebody who both speaks and who also does. It's important that I be somebody who speaks and who also does things. So I can speak, but I also do things. I can get things done myself, right? That's very important. We can spend the whole month just on this page. We can spend an entire month just on this page, just talking about, you know, many areas of what it is that is on this page. But that is not for today. But my point is, today we're going to be talking about elements of public administration. And you cannot be a great administrator working in the government, because that's what public means here. Working within one government, whether it is local government, state government, federal government, whatever level of government, you cannot be great in that role, taking a job with the government, if you don't know these things. And that is purely my point. So this page is extremely relevant even to what we are going to be looking at today. That's my point. And throughout this course, throughout, these are the kinds of things we're going to be talking about, right? These are the kinds of things would also bring in critical thinking, uh, creative thinking, uh, critical, what we can also call analysis skills, right? Whether we want to put it as a business analysis skills, you cannot get anything done without this background. So I'm going to enjoin all of you, please follow through with this. Follow through with it. Get better with regards to this. Get better. Keep picking things up, and you will see by the time you start to address your own speaking, your communication, your presentation, your speaking skills, your writing skills, your presentation skills, you will move forward in your career. You will definitely move forward in your career. So that's the background. Now let's go to, these are the 10 topics that I'm going to go through today. These are the 10 topics. And once again, I wish I was age I was age 16. I wish this was the first thing I went to do before going into university. I wish so. I can imagine a 16, 17-year-old person that has gone to that has finished SSC, WAEC, going through this kinds of things, and the person ends up knowing all these things in their first 2 years after university, after secondary school. Then they spend the whole of 17 and 18, and they go back into school at age 18. Can you imagine if you are in year one at age 18 and you already know all these things? They will make you president of everything. The lecturers will call you to even help them with their own notes and many things. Imagine after going through all these things that we're talking about, imagine going through the whole of this and this. So let's assume that the year you're 16, come September of that year, you start NID. Can you just imagine? Like, so you now do this 16 into 17, you do 16 into 17, you cover all these things, right? So everything on this page, you cover it between 16 and 17, and everything on this page, you cover it between 17 and 18. And the year you're 18, September of that year, you now go into the university, right? Number one, with the NID, you would even be able to skip year one. So just imagine knowing these things in year two, and you now going for a course in business admin, or you're going for a course in what other course you're going for a course in economics, or you're going for a course in accounting, or you're going for a course in business information systems, or those guys, you would definitely be number one in the class. Apart from being number one in the class, you would even be adding value. You'll be doing remote work. You'll be working for some organizations remotely, and then your level of intellect and your intelligence would have moved way further than the what it is for a normal human being. So once again, I'm going to encourage you, please bring your friends, bring your cousins, bring your enemies. This course is free, and you will gain a lot from this if you decide to join, if and when, not just if and when you decide to join this course in itself. Now let us move on. So today, as I said, this is public administration. What are some of the principles of public administration? We're going to talk about that. Historical development. So it's good to understand history. I'm not going to try to teach you everything. So we have notes that we have prepared that will help significantly if for when it comes to some of these things. So we do have notes that we are prepared that will help you. So ours is mine is to just give some kind of overview, and then we'll take it from there. And one day, you should aspire, if you're going to public service or you're in a private institution, you should aspire for the top. You should aspire that one day you will get to the very top. And that's why he said that what is needed for you to get to the top, what will be needed if you plan to get to the very top. That's important. To be the chief executive, the head honcho, the overall head and the overall lead in an organization. What is useful, what is necessary for that. So this will be important. And of course, key similarities and differences between business and public administration. We're also going to do that today. We're also going to do um, we're also going to do something on environmental factors that can influence administration as it is, and a couple of we're also going to do HR. So that number 6 is people management or HR management. So we're going to do that. And in year 2 of this NID, you will see we're going to do HR. Can you see number 2 to my right? Elements of human capital management. We're going to do what we call deep dive into human resource management in year 2. That's why I wish in my life that this was my situation. I wish that this was the school that I'd done this. I wish at that age 16 to 17 I'd done all this. That I know about HR, I know about accounting, I know about computers, I know about networks, I know about that number 3 in modern day we call it procurement. Procurement management. That's what that number 3 is about. We call it procurement management. That is what this number 3 is about, procurement management. Once again, I wish I'd gone through these things in my lifetime. I would not have, I'll be a different person. My career would have taken a different trajectory. I would have gone in a completely different direction if I already knew a lot of this. So that's why I think that, you should involve yourself, you should involve your friends and people like and all sorts. So once again, we're going to learn about administration. We're going to learn about the concept of bureaucracy. People say that, oh, it's a bureaucratic organization. Is it good? In modern day, should we still be bureaucratic? We're going to learn about that. We're also going to talk about administrative development and reforms in Nigeria, and what is the concept of indigenization. What is the concept of indigenization? So these are the things we're going to learn today. So let us just go straight into it. So once again, public administration is at many levels. Is at many levels, and it costs like before they even admit you into any kind of professional government service, you should have gone through something like this. You need to know a course like this. You need to be familiar with a course like this, elements of public administration, before you go and apply to work for Lagos State or to work for Ogun State or to work for any state anywhere. You need to know things like this. You need to be familiar with something, with things like this before you apply. So whether you're going to be working for the police, you're going to go into the military, you're going to go into one government agency or the other, you should know this course. Everything we're teaching on this course called public administration or elements of public administration is what you should know. Generally, when we come to management and administration, we usually will talk about some of these things. Generally, when it comes to management and administration, we should know some of these things. When it comes to management and administration, so the concept of planning, organizing, controlling, staffing, and even directing. So how do you plan? How do you organize? It's very similar to project to the elements of project management, the core elements, components. And one day I will teach something on project management. I manage projects every day of my life in the past in the past yeah no um yeah, so we usually will use this. Yeah, it's very similar to some of the phases. So one day I'm going to teach project management here. It's very similar to what we call the phases of project management. So once again, one day I will teach it here. Business will teach about project management as it is. So initiation, planning, execution, control, and closing. Right. So these are the phases of project management, and there's also something else that I'll put in here. Knowledge areas. So there's also knowledge, something called the knowledge areas the knowledge areas of project management, and there are 10 knowledge areas when it comes to project management. There are 10 knowledge areas when it comes to project management. So one day, when we are less busy, maybe during maybe during what's that thing called now? During summer or something, we will go through the 10 knowledge areas. We'll go through project management uh, uh, in itself. I'll be happy to teach project management. I'm been managing projects for at least 20 years of my lifetime, various types of project, website project, cost development project, many types of projects that I've had to manage in my lifetime, and I still do that even as at today. So one day, when I get the chance, I don't know when that will be, but I hope that that day will come where I will get the opportunity to take everybody through uh project. And I think everybody who does public administration, I think all government offices, I think they should be doing something on project management. I think all government offices should be doing something on project management. I think it's important. I think it is essential that all government offices should do something on project management. I think every government worker should know about project management because they all manage projects. They all have projects that they manage, and they should not manage them um, they should manage them properly. They should not manage them badly. So I think every government office should definitely do something on project management. And I think you, as an individual too, you should really learn about project management. Part of the things you really want to pick up as a person is the concept of project management. So once again, I was talking about elements of management and of the management process, but it's all, and I brought in the concept of the phases of project management and the key things. Everybody, please note this in your life. You should know how to manage these kinds of things. You cannot be a great manager. You know, cannot be great at anything if you're struggling here. You cannot be great at anything if you are struggling here. It is impossible for you to be great at anything if you are struggling here. You cannot be a great manager. So I know we use it primarily for projects, but I'm also telling you categorically, you can't even be a great manager at all if you're struggling with these 10 things. So you should take an assignment for yourself. On this course, you've got to be somebody who is driven. You're personally driven, not you're driven by a stick or driven by cane. You have to be personally driven. There is a lot of reward for your life, for your profession, in different areas of your life if you get these things. There is a lot of reward for you if you get these things. If you know these things, if you get these things, there is a lot of personal reward for you. So we can't chase you. We can't chase you everywhere. Call you on Monday. Oh, have you done your assignment? Call you on Tuesday. Oh, you need to be serious. Nah, we expect you to be driven, to be personally driven, to have a personal drive as a person. That's our expectation. So you should understand a lot of these things, and we're going to teach them. So if you're going to work for government and you want to be very good and you want to rise to the top, you should, these kinds of things that we've put, they should not be difficult for you. You should learn them. I know some people are very young, some people do not have a strong secondary school type education. So some of these things that I'm speaking about, it's over their heads. But trust me, you can get it. Number one, you can listen to these things over again. Number two, we're going to give you simple materials that you can read and you can jot down, and you can learn. And then we're open. The organization is open. We're all open for counseling, for coaching, for mentoring, for guidance. We're open. That's our job. So we're happy to guide you. We're happy to give you counsel. We're happy to support you. We're happy to ensure that you get these things even personally, even after the classes are over, as it is. And of course, I know students, after a while, they're going to start doing tutorial programs and things like that. That, what does this mean? But we've made this thing easy for you. We have made these things very easy, for you to understand them and to get them appropriately. All right. Another thing, everybody in this course, because you can't do public administration in modern day without talking about the sustainable development goals. Everybody, you cannot do public administration without this. So, as I said, in modern day, you cannot be somebody who is involved in social sciences, public policy, public administration. You cannot even just be an individual that you're not literate with regards to sustainable development goals. You must know you can't go for an interview now in this modern day and the client says that, do you know anything about sustainable development goals? And you want to go as a manager, as a senior manager, as a senior person, and you say, I don't really know, I've heard about it though, but I don't really know about it. Brothers and sisters, that's not acceptable in modern day. In modern day, that is not acceptable. In modern day, that is not acceptable, that you don't know about sustainable development. Because the role of government, and please everybody listen to this, the role of government in every country and even in every state of the federation is to ensure that the sustainable development goals are met in their own states and as a country. This is what it is meant to be. As a country, as a state, the role of government is to ensure that they provide, that they can drastically and systematically reduce poverty. That's the role of government. The role of government is to ensure that there's zero hunger. That's the role of government. The role of government is to ensure good health and well-being. The role of government is to provide education. The role of government is to ensure gender equality. The role of government is to provide clean water and sanitation. The role of government is to ensure there's water. Government can also partner with private institutions, but government owns these things. This is why you should have government at all. This is why government should even exist. This is the reason why there should be government at all in itself. So if you're doing public administration and you don't even understand that the job of government is to drive and provide these sustainable development goals, then there's going to be a problem. There's going to be a problem. There's going to be a challenge if you don't know that the role of government is to support these things, both at the state and at the federal level. That is the job of government. What you should do if you really want to go into this is to identify which ministries and parastatals and agencies and directorates are meant to be contributing to each of these goals. From this month of January, I'm going to be holding monthly webinars on sustainable development goals from January. The January one is an exclusive one where it's only for organizations. But because you're a student here, if you want to attend, you can speak with Mercy. Mercy will help you and will give some kind of invitation to the people who want to attend. And we'll send an invitation to your organization as it is. And then, of course, you can attend. We'll send an invitation to your organization. We'll send an invitation to your organization. So I'm going to be doing an exclusive champions program this month of January on the 31st. But this is the job of government, everybody. This is the job of government. This is what government is meant to be doing. Right? This is what government is meant to be doing. So when you're learning public administration, you have to understand the job of government. You have to understand, well, of course, private can support, individuals can support, but the primary responsibility of government are all these things. Government is meant to provide an enabling environment. Government is meant to provide many things along these lines. That is the job of government in itself. So I can speak about sustainable development goals for the whole day. If you go onto the portal called everybody, if you go onto a place called Academia, you will see some of the things. Let me see if I can find the link. So if you just put Orlando Academia, let me see, Academia SDG, I think, right? Good. So you will see some of the things we've been writing under academia.edu. I have a researcher that will work together. All right, so you will see. You should, yeah. I have a researcher that we do a lot of work together on a lot of these things. We've been doing a lot of work on SDG. You see some of our papers. You see some of the things. Let me put it in the chat room, because you're learning about public administration, and that is what this area of work is. How should the government be supporting education? How should the government be supporting health care? How should the government be supporting all these types of things? So you should go read some of these things as it is. How should the government help when it comes to the provision of food or the availability of food? So these things are very important, and these things are essential. Okay, another thing you also need to know and you need to be very familiar with are some of the government agencies. These are not all the agencies, but these are some of the agencies. These are some of the government agencies that are critical if you want to really understand public administration. And I think even from this class and from these sessions, there'll be some great people that will come out of here. There will be some great individuals, people who are going to be instrumental to the development of Nigeria as a country that will come out of here. Some great people are going to be instrumental to the development of Lagos State, the development of Ogun State, the development of Kano State, and all sorts of states. So it's important that you go to the website of these institutions, and that's why you cannot have a proper ministry, agency, or parastatal that does not have a working website. That's why you and I need to learn about website. That's why Boma, who is on the call, will teach all of us about how to build great websites, how to build beautiful websites, how to even if you're not a builder, you will be, or a developer, you will be somebody that can design or analyze or recommend what should be on the website. So everybody, if you get the chance, go and look on this website. This Office of the Secretary of the Government of the Federation is very important relative to what we're learning today, which is elements of public administration. This is another website that is extremely useful. If you are Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, some of you want to work for civil service, you want to work for government, you need to know these things. Every week I'll meet somebody who is asking me for money. I don't think, only God knows how many years of my life. I cannot. I mean, I wake up sometimes. I already can see things in my on my phone, asking me for money for one thing or the other. And a lot of these people are educated. A lot of them they've gone to school. They even have degrees, but they have not picked up the skills that will allow them to be very marketable, that will allow them to know things, that allow them to be very value adding. Last week, I had the conversation of value adding. I said, this whole world is about value, that the entire world is about the value you can add, the value you can add to individuals, the value we can add to organization. This whole transformation college is about value, the value we know that we can add to Nigeria as a country, to individuals, to people. It's all about value. So, and if you're somebody who knows how to add value, then you're going to always have a job. You're going to always have money. You're always going to you're always you will never, if you can add extensive value, you will always have a job. So for some of you who want to work for the civil service of a state or the government or the federal government, this is a site you should go onto. These are things you should know. These are things you should be very familiar uh, with, as it is. It's a Federal Civil Service Commission. So you have, of course, Nigeria likes a lot of duplication. That's one of the biggest challenges in the country. We duplicate all sorts of things. We have Minister of State for everything, and we have minister. Can you imagine? Right? Minister of State and then minister. So go on to these websites. Some of you want to work for government. So does anybody know, if you want to get into government as an OND person, well, what level do you come in? As a graduate, what level do you come in? And as an OND, what level? Let me go to the chat room. Anybody? As a graduate, if you want to come in to work for government with OND, what level do you come in? All right. And as with the BSc, what level do you come in? Anybody? Quickly, quickly, quickly. Anybody? Okay. Anybody? Chat room very quickly. What level do you come in? What level do you come in as an OND, HND, BSc holder? What level do you come in if you're being hired? Okay. Uh, are you sure OND is level 1? No, no, no. I think level 1 is for drivers, cleaners. So Daniel, level 7 is what? Is that BSc or what? So, oh, so wait, be very specific. Okay, good. So BSc is what? Okay, good. BSc, I think, is level 7. OND is either 5 or 6. Yes. Yes, okay. BSc is level 7. So OND, I believe, is either 5 or 6. I think BSc is level 7. I think it is 7. Afiz, I don't think it is 9. I think it is 7. I think OND is probably 6. OND is either 5 or 6. Okay. Even okay, said the NC is level 7. Yeah, because NC is the equivalent of a BSc, isn't it? I don't know. Especially if you're going into teaching. Because in schools, they hire people who don't have BSc, but are graduates of NC. Anyways, so, I mean, so even with this NID program, uh, okay, BSc is 8, NC is 7. Okay, so NC is 7, BSc is 8, OND is 6. Good, good, good. So, even with this, your NID certificate alone, you can get into level 6. And I think if you're able to demonstrate a lot of, I mean, if you're able to demonstrate a lot of value, I think you should work somewhere else. So look at this. So we have all sorts in Nigeria. So if you're going to be going into public administration, you're interested in public administration, you should know these kinds of things. You should be familiar with these kinds of things. If you're going to be going into public administration, if you like public administration, you have to think about it. Where do I fit in? Which ministry can I apply to? But of course, I know Nigeria, most of these things are not just by applying. Um, I know it's not just by applying. Nevertheless, you can think about it. Where do I have relationships? How do I get into some of these places? How do I demonstrate a certain level of expertise so that they'll put me in a certain department or in a certain location? So once again, the job of government is to do things that are aligned to SDG. That's why all of us need to become SD. We need to know about SDG. So when I ask you that, oh, SDG, when it comes to SDG 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, which ministries, which parastatals, which agencies of the government should should be able to support goal 9, right? If I ask you that, okay, zero hunger, goal 2, which ministries, which agencies should be supporting goal number 2, zero hunger? You need to know these things. If I ask you which ministries, climate action, goal 13, which ministries should support climate action, goal 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions, which ministries, which parastatals should be supporting goal 16? You have to be able to align the SDG goals to the ministries, the parastatals, the agencies, and the directorates of the government. You have to be able to align the SDG goals. So, for example, look at number 12 on my screen. Minister of Water, Resources, and Sanitation. Those are the people that are meant to be doing goal 6, clean water and sanitation. So you and I can go to speak with them in Ministry of Water, Resources, and Sanitation to do some things with them relative to goal 6. Relative to goal 6. Okay, so we can do this all day. Look at solid minerals number 33. Where is that? Is that meant to be what will solid minerals help with? Will that be no, goal 12 or 11? 11 is sustainable cities and communities, 12 is responsible consumption and production, life on land. So this solid minerals will either be aligned to 11 or 12. No, it's either 9, 11, or 12. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure. No, actually, it will be 11 or 12. So it's either sustainable cities and communities or responsible consumption and production. I think it will be more 12 since the solid minerals. All these agencies, that's their job. They're meant to be supporting the sustainable development goals. So there's a lot of opportunity, brothers and sisters, in this, even when it comes to public administration and just being familiar with some of the things that we're talking about. There is a lot of opportunities, but people don't demonstrate the intelligence needed. That's the challenge. A lot of people don't. All right. I am mute that person, please. A lot of people don't demonstrate the intelligence that is needed to be able to drive these things. All right. Let me move on. So, members of the office of the president, We're going to do something called citizenship education. I mean, I'm going to try to get my friend who is an expert in something like that to teach that course, citizenship education. And that will really be useful because you will learn about all these kinds of things. The arms of government, members of the office of the president, what do they do? Why are they there? What is the value that they add? And many, many other things. You will learn about all these things. Who are they? What do they do? And many other things. You're in that citizenship education. We're going to do it in both in first semester and in second semester. We're going to do it now. We're going to do it again later. And that's once again, it's critical that people know those things. I'm keen because I'm not very literate when it comes to that citizenship education. So I'm looking I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to it. So you that you're going to be involved in public administration one way or the other, either as a staff of the public institutions or as a consultant, whatever. You need to know these things and you need to be familiar with them. Let's go into the work proper, right? So the first one is the principles of public administration, planning, organizing, directing, and controlling various things. And that's why we're talking about some of those things earlier. The concept of planning, the concept of organizing, the concept of directing, the correct concept of controlling, and even staffing. They cannot do their job. Every ministry has a mandate. Every ministry has a mandate. Every agency of the government, every directorate or corporation of the government, they have their mandate. Without that mandate, they cannot operate. So if we go, for example, we say, let's go and look at the Ministry of Finance, MOF, right? Ministry of Finance, Nigeria. So look at their website, the Ministry of Finance, and look at all the agencies. Can you imagine? Look at all the parastatals under Ministry of Finance. Can you see plenty? Do you get under Ministry of Finance alone? So, and each of these entities will have their own mandates. Even the Ministry of Finance has its own mandate in itself. So it's important. So Ministry of Finance, so you and I can then go to look at and say, okay, let us look at FIRS, being one of the entities. We look at FRS. You want to consult for them. You want to do something with them. Then you should have looked at it. Maybe okay, that one is not opening. I don't know why. Why is the FRS website not opening? Okay, maybe we can look at NDIC. Let's see. That one will open. My friend is the director of IT there. So look at NDIC website, right? You will see the vision and the mission of NDIC. So you will see their vision and their mission there. The NDIC, their core beliefs, and their organizational structure. So this is important that you understand what each of the some of the ministries of the government, what they do, what their responsibilities are. But you can't go away from things like you have planning. Planning is an essential part of this human life. You have to be a good planner. It doesn't matter your line of work. It doesn't matter what it is that you do. You have to be a good planner. You have to be somebody who understands organizing. You have to be somebody who understands organizing. You have to be somebody who understands how to control things and how to bring the right people for the right job. Staffing, the whole concept of staffing, right? And directing. So if you're going to be a good administrator, you must understand these things. It is important and it is essential that you do that. If I move on, I also had shown you some of these things, even here as part of project management. You can also see planning. You can also see controlling. You can also see execution in there. So, and then we have shown you some of these things. Let's move on very quickly. So public administration is a big deal. The concept of, planning, organizing, directing, and controlling various programs, various initiatives of the government. You have to understand that. And of course, when it now comes to public, you have to work within an agency. You have to understand the mandate of that agency. There is a mandate by some act, some law that brings to birth every agency or entity of the government. There is a mandate, there is a law, there is an act that brings to birth all of them. So you have to understand what are they, that agency, what have they been established to do? What exactly is their job as an agency? So, and how do they manage the resources that have been brought into their care? The big problem is and that's why that word I used the other time when we're having this conversation, I used the word stewardship. Where is that place where I put the word stewardship? Resources have been put in the hands of people, right? Resources have been dropped in the hands of people. You have been given resources for one thing or the other. And that's why one of the things I should also teach or mention is what we call the 5 M's of resources. 5 M's of resource management. Of Some people call it the 5 M's of management, but I like to call it the 5 M's. Well, I mean, I like to look at it as the 5 M's or resource management, but it doesn't matter, right? Um, right? And this is an old concept that you and I cannot be thinking of management without thinking about the M's of resource of management or resources in themselves. It's important, it's critical that you understand things like that. So let me do this. Good. So that you cannot do you can't do this thing properly without this, and everybody should know this. And I like to ask this kind of question in your exam. What are the 5 M's of management? You need people. Okay, you need money, finance. You need all sorts of raw materials. You need all sorts of machines, and you need to have a methodology for doing things. So you have to show stewardship. A lot of people don't show stewardship. A lot of government institutions, public workers don't think that they need to show stewardship, right? And stewardship is important. If anything that has been given into your hands or given to you or placed in your hands, you must show adequate stewardship. Stewardship of the various resources, right? Stewardship of people, okay? Stewardship of people. Hey, okay. Yeah, sorry. Stewardship of people. You have to show that you're a good steward. Most people don't realize that that is one of the things they must demonstrate. They must demonstrate that they are good stewards. That, the concept of stewardship, right? Stewardship of what? Of resources, stewardship of people, stewardship of materials, stewardship of equipment, stewardship of money, right? Right. So it's important that you show that you show of equipment, stewardship of money, of finance that has been placed in your hand. You have to be a good steward if you plan to be a good administrator. You have to show the concept of uh, stewardship, so to speak. So that's important, and that's essential that you and I that we get that we get this adequately. Let me put this back up. All right, good. Okay, can you see? So these 5 M's of management, I hope you write it down. I hope you go back to it. I hope you drive it. It's critical. 5 M's of management, right? Some people call, yeah, so men, people, money, materials, equipment, and you must have a methodology. That's what that, you must show stewardship of a method, a methodology. Um, um, Otherwise we call it an approach, a validated, you know, a validated and sensible approach to doing things. A lot of people don't take these things into consideration. You have to have a sensible and validated approach to achieving objectives. You have to um, achieve goals. Yeah, you have to achieve goals and objectives. You have to show stewardship relative to all these things, people. So, I mean, you want to go further in life, you want to go further in your career, you have to show stewardship of these things. And that's why we talk about the 5 M's of management. So, if you're going to be a great administrator, things like this, you should be familiar with it. A stewardship of what? The achievement of goals and objectives, stewardship of money, stewardship of the various types of resources that have stewardship of resources. Yeah, and put that here, right? Stewardship of people, stewardship of all sorts of materials, stewardship of equipment. You even have to show stewardship of time. Somebody was saying that he worked with one government institution that most of the time the people were they were only sleeping and selling things in the office. Worked at a government institution. I didn't say it, it was the person that said it. You have to show stewardship of material, stewardship of inventory. You've been given inventory of different things, right? And you have to show stewardship of time. People don't realize that you need to show stewardship of time. Time is a resource. People don't realize that time in itself is a huge resource. So people, you have to know these things. You need to know these things. You really need to be familiar with these kinds of things. Stewardship of resources, stewardship of many types of resources, right? Stewardship of the achievement of goals and objectives. Stewardship of even stewardship of knowledge and skills. Do you get the people? Their availability, their knowledge, and their skills. That is one of the things that I've seen. A lot of people, the job that they do is not maximizing their knowledge and their skills. So you, as a part of public administration, is to understand this, is to know these things, is to be familiar with these things. That is part of what public administration is. We plan to build a new crop of global citizens, people who are experts at many things. So, um, so everybody go to the chat room. Do you think administration is an art or a science? What do you think? Does it have a science to it? Is it an art or a science? Everybody, tell me, tell me. All right, art versus science. Are we going to say the concept of administration? Is it an art or it is a science? Anybody? Is it an art or it is a science? All right. Anybody? Chat room, quickly, everybody. Chat room, chat room. You should be all right. Is administration, is it an art or it is a science? And that's why it's also good for you to learn the concept of right brain versus left brain. Right versus left brain. So you will let me know which one are you predominantly, okay? Or is it a myth? Some people say it's not true. Some people say it's true. Some people say it's a myth. Some people say it's valid. So, which one are you as a person? Everybody, come to the chat room very quickly, right? Do you think so? Is administration, my first question is administration a science or an art? And then look at the concept of right versus left. Okay, it said left is what? Science. Right is art. So is administration, this concept of administration, is it left or is right? Or it's a combination of both? I mean, on one hand, it is scientific, there's logic, there's analysis, there is communication. On the other hand, it is intuitive, creativity, emotions. So which is it? So just like when we come back here, right? And an emotional, maybe let me just put it uh and let me just put it here for lack of a better place. Okay. So, yes. So, is it, what do you think, everybody? What do you think? Is administration, is it left or right? I think it's a combination of both. All right, everybody, what do you think? It's a combination, right? So, on one hand, it's science. Yes. So, any other person? Both, right? Right. It's a combination of both. So, okay, everybody, tell me in the chat room, are you left brain? Which one are you primarily? Are you left or right? Primarily. Primarily. Tell me. Everybody in the chat room, very quickly. Are you left or you're right? Are you left or you're right? Okay. Okay. So everybody, chat room, are you left or you're right? Okay. Precious says right. Otnel says right. Who are left like? Who are those that are like me? The Zenab says left. Zenab, you're like me. Uh, right. So it's good. I definitely. I mean, my original background is my original background is science. I'm an engineer. I studied engineering. So that's my original background. But of course, my work has taken me away from just engineering to focus on management. So I've also now built quite a bit of capability on the left, but I'll say primarily. Remember when I was younger, everything I always say, I'll be like, this doesn't make sense, that this is not logical, that this doesn't look like 1 + 1 is equal to 2. So, yeah, it's good for you to know which one are you? But yes, management is a combination. It's both an art and it's a science. Management is a combination. The other thing we're going to talk about here is, the scope of public administration. There's a lot. All of you are learning about public administration and policy. These are important things. Public administration. So this is critical. That's one of the things that this is teaching you. Do you get? And that's why, at the very heart of public administration are the policies that drive a lot of things, the policies that are driving hunger, poverty, food production. What are all the public policies? Do you get? So, in fact, there's this thing called the public policy life circle. I can't remember what I was doing. The um, public policy life circle that talks about the whole thing I have my own version of the thing that I have written somewhere, but I don't want to spend my time looking for it, right? So it starts from the formulation of the policy in itself. So policies are formulated, and then the policies are developed, and then they're reviewed. And the problem when it comes to a lot of these things is always execution, implementation. So Nigeria as a country has a lot of policies. Am I right? Anybody? What do you think? Oh, we have a lot of policies. Policy full ground, plenty policies, But what goes wrong is always, you know, it's the um it's the this is like an example of some kind of life circle with regards to policies. What goes wrong in Nigeria is not the policy. Policy, they always exist. The problem is always, look at it. There's a legislative process, regulation. They write it, they make it, they review, they publicize, the administration and enforcement. It's always that portion of policy. That's where everything goes wrong. So people formulate policies, but the implementation is a problem. And that's why it's very important that you understand, some basic things when it comes to finance and HR. And one of the entities of the government that is also very important that you and I know is that entity called Servicom. You know, Servicom is a very important entity of the government of Nigeria. This Servicom as an entity and what Servicom stands for, because this is the portion that really talks about how services are delivered. If services are delivered appropriately, um, so Servicom is meant to be big when it comes to the delivery of services in Nigeria. Servicom is meant to be massive when it comes to the delivery of services in Nigeria. But like most things, these things are not done properly. They do them very badly. They just do them anyhow without really um them being monitored. So there are all sorts of policies. Nigeria get policy. Hey, somebody will say, they'll say policy yakpa. Policy in Nigeria, like 1 billion policies. Policy on everything is available. The problem is not the policy. The problem is always the execution of the policies. So, and Servicom is meant to be one of those entities that is meant to help to ensure that that they are checking all the entities to see if they're executing the policies are right. If they're executing the policies, right, Servicom. But like most things in Nigeria, a lot of these things are not done. They're not done appropriately. So once again, you as an intelligent person, you as somebody who is attending this program from Transformation College, you should know where everything goes wrong is always in the implementation of policy. The implementation of policy. That's when you find out that maybe the people were not even trained. That's when you find out that you don't have adequate resources. That's when you find out all sorts of things when it comes to the implementation of policies. So you have to understand that policies have a life cycle. Policies, they have a certain life cycle. So the policy life cycle as it is. So the people, they they the they dream, they um they conceptualize is probably a better word, right? Conceptualize the policies, the policy to drive something. They define maybe objectives and goals. Do you understand? They define objectives and goals. They define um They define objectives and goals. They define when it comes to a lot of these policies, they define they do the what's that word? They assemble um experts. They define and formulate the policy. They define and formulate the policy. They uh, they review, and eventually they review and what else do they do with regards to the policy? They review and approve. You know, policy approval is critical. If the policy is not being approved, then it doesn't make any sense. Sorry, give me 1 second. So, it's reviewed, and then it is publicized. Is publicized, and should I say, and communicated. It is publicized and communicated. So it is publicized and communicated, and then it is meant to be executed and implemented. That is where the problem is: the execution and the implementation, and then of course the what we can call the review and performance management, the review and appraisal, right? Review and appraisal of the policies in themselves. The review and the appraisal of the policies as it is, and then of course policies are also meant to be revised and improved upon. Review and the improvement of the policies. So, and then of course part of this is to now talk about the resources needed for execution, and for execution. Sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's an equipment, sometimes it is money, sometimes it is people, all sorts, right? So in a sense, this is like what we can call like a policy execution type life circle. And once again, the problem is that most policies are not appropriately managed. The policies themselves um, are just badly done. So you that you're a student here, you need to know this. You need to know these things. You need to be very familiar with these things. You need to be yeah. So good. I think in a sense we've captured adequately what the problem is when it comes to a lot of these things. I think in a sense we've been able to capture them adequately. The concept of yes, the concept. Okay, good. So, right, execution, implementation, and adoption. Okay, so execution, e- implementation, and even adoption. That is where the that's where the cookie crumbles. That's where everything goes wrong. That's where the things hits the floor flat when it comes to these things. This is where the problem comes up. Okay? So, brothers, all right? All right, you need people, you need skilled people, right, to drive how policies in themselves need to be executed. So goals and objectives, conceptualize the policy, assemble the experts, define and formulate, review and approve, publicize. Yeah, good. The problem is always this one, these two. That's where the problem is. That's the problem. All right. So anybody that is involved in public administration, this is your job, everybody. This is your job, public administration. So you that you're a young person on this call, you need to understand this. You need to understand this, right? Just like, that's why you need all these things, because at the end of the day, there are many portions to this thing that you need to know. Okay. All right. So last thing that we're going to do under this first one is the concept of you just understanding what happens in hierarchy, unity of command, which is like, is like this. Everybody that is on this call, you must understand this concept of, sorry, let me do this. This concept of hierarchy, right? Span of control. So you must understand it because it speaks about having an organogram. That's what it speaks about. When you say we have an organogram, who is in charge of what? Who is the leader where? Who is the person in charge of what? Okay. So the concept of hierarchy and that's what this is about. So you need to know this. So once again, this is it. In an organization, you must have hierarchy, right? In a sense, even though people will tell you that, oh, ours is a flat organization, but even within the flat organization, there's still some form of hierarchy. Even within the flat organization, there's still some form of hierarchy. And you have to have hierarchy everywhere. So you can't take hierarchy away. It's a part of human life. The concept of hierarchy is a part of human life or human organization. So any kind of human organization, I can't remember which government institution we're looking at the other time. It says this is the organogram. Which one was it? I can't even remember whether it was NDIC or which entity did we look at? And it says this is the organogram of that of the entity. Aha, this is it. It was NDIC. It says the organogram. So that's what hierarchy means. This is a government, and then you have to understand how this hierarchy works, especially in a government institution. So this is NDIC, right? So when somebody is asking you for hierarchy and a span of control, this is what they are referring to. All right. So we're going to move very quickly because there's a lot that we still have to do today. I'm going to move very quickly to number 2. Number 2 talks about the history of of uh, um, of administration. And there's been a lot in the past when it comes to administration. In the notes that we're going to be giving to you, you will see a lot of things around the historical concepts of administration. One thing that is also very useful is this thing around management theories. You understand? So we can't go through all these theories, but it's good that you understand some of these things. Administrative management theory, scientific management theory. What are all these management theories? What are they for? How are they useful? So, of course, a critical one for us right now is the administrative management theory. Okay. So there are various types of theories in the world, but here you have what is referred to as the administrative management theory, which is very important and useful for us based on what it is that we're doing today. So this is critical as it is. There's also scientific. So if I come back here and I do scientific, right? Management theory. This is also useful. So what is it that the uh okay? So what is this about? Right? What is the scientific management theory? And that's why we did that session that talks about what is the difference. We did the session, what is the difference between science and an art? And what's the, apart from what's the difference, which one are you as a person uh, inclined towards? Which one are you inclined towards administrative, or are you inclined towards so this is what is referred to as the scientific um management theory. Good. So which one are you inclined towards as a person? Are you inclined towards, right? Oof. All right, finish. Okay, good. Yep, you do it this way. Get it this way. Something like this. Good. So there are many theories. I mean, there are many theories as it is, but the key thing is science, no rule of thumb. How many? And that's what we're saying. That is administration. Is it more? Is it an art or it's a science? And I think it's both. I think it is both. It is both an art um, and a science as it is. One other area, so as I said, we can look at a lot of this, but we can't finish all that in this class as it is. Another thing, one that's very important that all of us need to know is just the general conversation around it's just the general conversation around management in itself. Okay, the general conversation when somebody talks about the principles of management, and this is critical to what it is that we're learning as it is. At the end of the day, it comes down to the management of work and the management of people. So that these are some of the key things that it comes down to: the management of work and the management of people. So people need to be managed, and there are many experts that have said a lot of things around these things as it is division of work. And that's why this concept of being able to draw an organogram, everybody, the concept of an organogram is very important, right? We had talked about it earlier, the concept of an organogram. So administrative management, you can't go away, you can't do admin work without all these things. You cannot do administration, the management of people, the management of time, the management of resources, the management of all sorts of things. You cannot do any of these things without without you being a good administrator. You have to be an um, an excellent administrator. You have to be an excellent administrator. So these are some of the key things as it is, that we need to know, and we need to be familiar with. What is it to divide work amongst people? What is it for somebody to take responsibility or to have authority? That's important. What does discipline? People in an organization cannot do things anyhow. That's why we have HR policies. You can't just say you want to do something anyhow you are, how you want to do it. So that's what administration and management is really about. You ensuring, and that's why some of those things that I had written earlier today are critical if you want to do well, and if you want to actually understand these things, right? If you want to understand it, some of the things I'd written here. So, for example, that's what an administrator does. Helps to ensure the stewardship of resources, achievement of goals and objectives. These are critical elements. These are critical elements to what it is that we want to do. These are critical elements. You want to manage people, manage time, manage equipment, manage materials, inventory, manage raw materials. Yeah, yeah. Okay, right? So that's important. So let me show you this. So everybody should. I mean, if you look at this organogram, for example, right at the top there, you can see MD, and everybody likes that role, that name, MD, Managing Director. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing, right? So you can see at the head there, you can see Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer. And that means you've risen to the top. That's the height of it. Chief Executive Officer. You've risen all the way to the top, and that is the height of it in itself. Chief Executive Officer. And so one of the things they want us to teach you is, who is a Chief Executive Officer? Okay? What is his job? What is his role? What is he meant to know? What will make him qualify as a chief executive officer, and what will help him to become an outstanding chief executive officer? What should he know? What should he understand? What will help him eventually? So I had to put something like this there, everybody, especially here. Let me change this. Especially here. So you should desire to get to the to the helm of affairs. You should. You should desire to get to the helm of affairs. And if you're going to get to the helm of affairs, this is what you will need to know. This is what you will need to know. As a person, these are the kinds of things you're going to be judged as a chief executive based on these things: strategic leadership, collaboration, decision making, communication, innovation, financial management. This is how you're going to be judged as the CEO. This is how you're going to be judged as the CEO. Okay? Further to that, these are the responsibilities. So, I know a lot of people want to be heads. They want to be the CEO, but it's not easy to be the CEO. If you're going to be a great CEO, you have to be able to demonstrate the responsibilities and carry out these tasks of a CEO. And that's neither easy nor straightforward. Okay? These are the responsibilities and tasks of a CEO. So it's not easy. So you have to know a lot. You have to have a lot of skills. You have to have a lot of competence. You have to have a lot of capabilities if you want to get to the top. You want to be at the very top. You have to have a lot of things. You don't get there in one day. You don't get there in one day. It takes a while for you to get there. But you can start today. There's no better day than today. Okay? Than for you to start to say, what do I need to do? How do I get there? What do I need to do? And how do I get there? But this is what a CEO does. This is what a CEO does. So there's also the CEO's office in government service. And in some places it's called the DG. Okay. So on that number one on my screen, I'm going to add NID business informatics to it. Yes. I'm going to add plus a requirement will be the transformation college. Let me write it properly. Transformation college NID. It's not the NID in other places, so it's the one in business informatics from from transfer from transformation college. The one in business informatics from transformation college. All right. So that's a useful, that's definitely a useful qualification that will help you in your quest um, to get to the top. That will definitely be useful. So that's what this is about. The CEO and the things he does. And every organization should have a CEO. Every organization should have a competent CEO and a competent general manager. Remember, I will always bring you back to this slide. Everybody, I will always bring you back to this slide this our slide. This one, the skill sets needed for somebody who wants to be a modern leader, a modern administrator. This slide is critical. This slide is very important as it is. Right. Okay. Good. 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 All right. So I will do a couple of more, a couple of other things. So let me do the topic that's got to do with human resources. I like that a lot. I like the topic on human resources a lot. We've talked about a lot of the public and business administration. There are many similarities. There are many similarities. There are many similarities. So there are many similarities, but there are also differences. You know, when you go to start your own business or you work in a bank, in a private institution, it's very different from when you go to work for Ministry of Education or you go to work for NMPC, you know. So those entities that belong to the government have been established by acts, as it is, or by law. So that's why the word stewardship is very important when it comes to public institution. When it comes to public institutions, that's why stewardship. Do you understand? Judicious use of the resources that have been placed in your care, and the public institutions have been established because of by policy, to have policies and to drive them in the interest. And that's why, once again, SDG goals comes into place. SDG goals, they come into place. SDG goals, they come into place. Okay? Because that's the job of government. That is the job of government. The job of government is to do what? Is to ensure that they help meet SDG goals. The job of government is to help ensure they meet SDG goals. That is the job of government. So, yeah. All right. So, the clear differences. Let us do this, and then uh HR, everybody. So there's the chapter 6, which is about human resources. There's chapter 6, which is about human resources. And this is what you need to understand about human resources, either in private or public. These are some of the key things that are very important. And not everybody that is on this call, you must understand this. When we get into year 2, these are some of the things. So whether it is in public or in private institutions, these are these are key things, right? These are key things. Staff welfare, leave and absenteeism. Okay, these are the same things that you're worried about, whether it is in public or private institutions. When it comes to staff of the organization, you're worried about these kinds of things. So everybody here, you need to know about HR. You must know about HR. In some organizations, they call it people management. Some organizations don't use human, they just use people. Some people say people capital, right? Everybody, if you're here, this is one area you must specialize. If you're a student of our school, this is one area you must be very familiar with, just like SDG. So if you're a student, you must understand HR, right? Strategy and planning, HR policies and procedures, vacancies and recruitment, and personnel information, staff welfare, onboarding, right? Employee engagement and administration, leave and absenteeism, benefits and compensation, training and competence, productivity, performance, culture and change, diversity, equity, and inclusion. These are key areas when it comes to HR. So you cannot be a student in this school and you won't know these things. Very important that you're familiar with these kinds of things. HR is a key part of the life of any organization. HR is an essential part of the life of any organization, right? So even when it comes to things like discipline and even when it comes to things like discipline um and what's that thing called? Discipline and sanctions. Okay. So even when it comes to uh disciplinary measures, it's like sanction measures for the violation of one thing or the other. Disciplinary, yeah, onboarding, everything that's got to do with onboarding. You know, training for them, access to computers, many things that are involved. Diversity. How many in your organization do you have only women? That's a problem. The organization is it made up of only men? That's a problem. That's why we start to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. What is the culture? How do you get people to change? You know, the concept where we call it organizational change management. Organizational. Everybody must understand people, staff, productivity of the staff in the organization. How do we get our staff to be very productive? Performance evaluation, or some people like to call it appraisals, isn't it? Performance evaluation or appraisals. Very important. Plus rewards. Okay. So if you're here and you're age 20 or age 50, I don't think any, or maybe 55. If you're here or you're age 50 or 60, then you should know these things. Then you need to know these things actually. If you're here, then you need to know these things. Human resources is very important. Everybody must understand how to manage human beings. There is a book that I like a lot. Um, uh, Let me see, The Laws of Human Nature. The Laws of Human Nature. I like the book a lot. You should go get it. Because if you are not going to get, in fact, in the book, he said you will not get anywhere in this life if you don't understand how to manage human beings. He says, in this life or on this earth, you're not getting anywhere if you don't understand how to manage human beings. Right? And that in this life you would always, you will always struggle if you don't understand how to manage human beings. That human beings are irrational, human beings are covetous, and it's not only in others, it's inside of you too. Every time we look at this, we say, "Oh, that guy is short-sighted." You too, you're short-sighted in a certain area of life. You say that guy is envious. You too, you demonstrate jealousy and envy in some areas of your life. All of us are susceptible to this. It doesn't matter our name, our age, our role, our religion, whatever that thing is. All of us, each of us, were susceptible to this. I know somebody who is very narcissistic and likes to say that, oh, people are narcissistic. I say, you too, you're narcissistic as a person. So these things and it's important. It's important. It is important. right? So that's why this HR module is very important. All of us, we self-sabotage. All of us are indisciplined. All of us are disobedient to one thing or the other. All of us, we are all susceptible to these things. There's the laws of human nature by Robert Greene. Massive book. I have the book. It's too big to be read. So I just listen to a lot of the summaries on YouTube, and then I refer to the book in certain areas. All right. So you cannot be a good administrator, a good manager, a good general manager, a good professional if you don't understand HR. And I've tried on this page to capture almost everything that has got to do with HR. So can somebody tell me, is there anything that I am missing from an HR perspective here? Anybody quickly tell me, what do you think I've missed out? What do you think I have not captured? Anybody tell me quickly. What is an area of HR that you think I might have missed out? Okay, let me read in the chat room. Anybody? Chat room. What do you think? Labor laws? Yes. Reward recognition? Yeah. So labor laws, we talked about performance. So yeah, so maybe labor laws, yes. Laws, yeah. Compliance and all those kinds of things. We've talked about rewards and recognition, yeah. Slash, yes, reward slash recognition. Okay, yes, I agree. What else? What else do you think we're missing? Yeah, all those things around transfers, yeah. Transfers and what now? So employee grievances, yes. Staff welfare, grievances, yeah. Okay, so I agree. What else? What else have we missed out? Everybody? Anybody? Grievances? Grievances and yeah. Okay. Reward recognition. So we can talk about welfare, bio data, benefits, absenteeism, plus transfers, change of roles, something along those lines. What else? What else? Anybody? What else do you think we've missed out? You need to be a great people manager. Each of us, we need to be great people managers. Imagine if you're age 17 and you're already aware that you need to be a great people manager. That would be amazing, huh? That will be amazing. The modern way by which people do something here is something called OKR. Everybody go and learn about that. Imagine that you're age 17 and you already know that you're not going to make progress in your career in this life generally without having being a great people manager. That in this life, not in this life, on this human earth, you will never be great without being able to manage people. You will never be great without being able to manage people. Okay? So, how can nobody has reminded me about, let me put it here. Nobody has reminded me about payroll and payroll um, uh, and loans, right? That's critical. After all, everybody is there for one thing or the other. Okay? That's important. Okay? Let me put this here. Agreement. And as you prepare for it, you also have to think about their exits. Hmm? So you can't say you're only thinking about how to recruit. You also have to think about exits, uh, whether it is retirement or um, uh, or you sack the person, or it's dismissal. So either you're sacking people or you're dismissing them. It's important that you prepare for that. You in HR. Once again, I like this. I like HR a lot. I like HR a lot. There's no successful running of a company without getting HR right. There is no successful running of any company. Every company is only as good as its people. Did you hear that? Every organization is only as good as what? As its people. If you don't have great people, the organization is automatically hampered. So, so you as a young person, you need to know this. If you're young and you're one of those blessed young people on the call that has the opportunity to learn a lot of these things while they're young, labor laws, everything that's got to do with regulations, compliance, yeah. So, okay, you have to add succession planning here because people will leave the organization. It's guaranteed. A business should be a continuum. That's what a business needs to be, a continuum. Government needs to be a continuum. So, human resources, otherwise called people management, either in public or in private institutions, you need to be familiar with these things. When we get to year 2, we're going to do an entire course just around this. But the whole course will still be around this page. It will not be anything more than this. It just means that on that course, we're going to now take each one and we're going to dissect them. Okay? On each one, we're now going to dissect each one. But it won't be anything more than this. When we get to year 2, it will still be the same human resource management. And it's a part of is a part of public administration, because in the government institution, you still have to manage some elements of this. You still have to manage plus promotion, all right? You still have to manage promotion. You still have to manage plus uh, uh, human analytics, where you also have to you still have to deal with data, the human analytics side of things. So there are many components to managing, an organization, plus the organogram, the updated organogram. Some organizations don't have that. So I can talk about this all day. I can talk about this all day. Human resource, people management in both public and private institutions. There's no going around this. There is no going around it. There is no going around it. You must manage all these elements, right? And if you get the chance, go on YouTube and listen to 48. What am I saying? It's just called The Laws of Human Nature. Doesn't have a number, just the laws of human nature. The laws of human nature. Right? The laws of human nature. All of us. And if you don't understand how to manage, in fact, the idea is that you manage these things inside of your own self, and you also manage it inside of others. That's the idea. You manage these things inside of your own self, and you also manage it inside of others. Okay. We'll go for break at 12. We started at 10. We'll go for break between 12 and 1. Culture is key. Okay. Culture is another big conversation when it comes to human beings. And so we can't go away without speaking about culture. You know, in fact, right now there's something called culture management, right? There's the entity, there's the concept of culture. And, you know, there's a book, it's called, there's a book, it says, Culture Eats Strategy for Breakfast. There's a book like that. Read it. It says culture eats a strategy for breakfast. It's a book. Culture eats a strategy for breakfast. Brilliant. And people focus on culture. People focus on strategy. But if you don't get culture right, your strategy will be complete nonsense. If you don't get culture right, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. So, what's the culture in your own organization? I've seen different types of government institutions. I've seen some government institutions in this my lifetime that act like they're private institutions, well governed, well run, everything is properly done. And I've seen some others badly run, badly managed. I've seen some excellent government institutions. You would think that, wow. So culture is a big conversation, and that's what it is here, you know, culture and acceptable norms. Okay. Culture is a big conversation. And you have to understand that your culture ends up being stronger. Um, yeah. Poor culture, great processes, poor culture will win. Culture, great strategy, poor culture will win. Right? So you and I need to understand the impact and the stand of culture. Okay. When we come back, we'll do some other parts in here. We'll do something on bureaucracy. People say that government institutions are bureaucratic. What does that mean? That government institutions are bureaucratic, that they always want to follow rules at the expense of every other thing, at the expense of productivity. Somebody told me a story a long time ago. No, it was not a story. I went to do some work in a government institution in Abuja. The man said that if he said, he now gave me an analogy. He said, see, you work for private, you've come here as a consultant to do X, Y, Z. He says, see, let me tell you what happens in government. He said, if government, like, if the people come for it to work or come for training or whatever that thing is, and there is no pen for them to write, he said, what would you do if it was you in your own organization? I said, instantly we go to buy pens because we need the people to write. He said, so that's different. He said, in the government institution, if there's no pen to write, now nobody can just wake up and go to buy pens for everybody. Now maybe the plan is even for the people not to have pens. Maybe there is a reason. Maybe the policy does not even approve pens, and that you will be violating laws by the time you say, oh, because we want to be productive, let's go and buy pens. So he was saying to me categorically, he says, see, in government, things are different. That the way we think, the way we act, the way we plan, the way we do things is different. That's why people say that government is bureaucratic. That's what people say. They say government is bureaucratic. So, what is bureaucracy? Is it good? Is it bad? Does it have advantages? Does it have disadvantages? How do the ministries and parastatals, how do they work? Where is bureaucracy killing us as it is? So, this concept of bureaucracy, can you even run without having a form of bureaucracy? Will it work? Is it possible that you will work without any form of bureaucracy? That a government institution, a public institution, established by law and by act, will not have a form of bureaucracy? I don't think so. So for your exam, you're going to see something like this, everybody. This gentleman called Max Weber is the one that has talked about bureaucratic theory. And inside of bureaucratic theory, there's 6 key portions to it. Okay? Of course, people have careers. There has to be a formal selection process ordinarily. There has to be division of labor. And that's why the organogram is very important and it is essential, because there has to be division of labor. Everybody cannot be doing the same thing at the same time. Everybody cannot be doing the same thing at the same time. Everybody cannot be doing things anyhow. Everybody cannot be doing the same thing at the same time. So there has to be some sense around how things are done. There must be a breakdown, right? And then, of course, there have got to be rules and regulations. Where there are no rules, the people cast of restraint. Where there are no rules, the people start to act like they have lost their minds. So there got to be some rules and regulations. And of course, you have to understand the concept of authority and hierarchy. So even in flat organizations, I work with a lot of fintechs. They say, oh, we're a flat organization. No matter how flat they think they are, there is still some hierarchy in there. The CEO is still the CEO. The head of something, the team lead is still the team lead. Okay? And of course, it talks about things not being personalized. That, what is good for the goose is good for the gander, so to speak. So, this is what we call the Max Weber, the 6 elements of the Max Weber bureaucratic theory, bureaucratic or bureaucracy theory. Bureaucratic or bureaucracy theory. The 6 elements of the bureaucratic or bureaucracy theory. Okay. Further to that, all right. So we've talked about the 6 elements, and it's very important. It's a theoretical concept, but it still has relevance. Organizations still follow this. They have to set up the company, organize the company, run the company, ensure that there are specialists within the organization, that there's still specializations and people are professionals. There's still, so it still has, it's old, but it still has a lot of relevance and even value in modern day. But of course, for every theory, some people would have come to say the theory, there's a better theory, there's this, there's that, all those kinds of things. But yes, okay, it is important and it's essential. Okay, there's also what we call the behavioral theory of leadership. All right, the behaviors of leaders, and I think we've covered this. I think we've covered this to an extent. And leaders have got to have a level of understanding, so you know, the characteristics. I had in one other document that I have like that. I have something like that. The characteristics of leaders, of leadership, right? Yeah, something like this. That if you're a leader, so people need to evaluate themselves. How much of a leader am I? How much of these characteristics do I possess as a person? Right? How much of this you're going to be the DG, you're going to be great, you're going to be the CEO of a big institution. Yeah, yeah, good. So how much of this do you have? How much of this is part of you, part of your capability? How much of this have you imbibed as a person? How much of this? These leadership characteristics are important, whether it is in government or it is in private institutions. It does not matter. I have my own personal list in an unpublished book of mine. It talks about the characteristics of leaders, the characteristics of leadership. Some of these things are there. I have a different list and a book, an unpublished book on leadership. So I use it sometimes in the leadership training classes. So organizations need to have that. So that Max Weber, that's it. So ministries, right? So once again, bureaucracy is good, but it has its disadvantages. For a lot of people, it's bureaucracy um versus um efficiency. Bureaucracy versus efficiency. I've seen things like that before. Okay. Bureaucracy at the expense of efficiency, and that's why people will be like, some things the government should not be running because the government is not built to be very efficient. Government institutions are bureaucratic, so some people will always suggest that some things should not be run by the government, that they should just give it to private institutions to run, because bureaucracy versus effectiveness. Bureaucratic entities are not usually thinking about how to be very effective. Some people say bureaucratic entities are not very productive. That bureaucracy. So you can see. That's why I like this. I like this bureaucracy versus efficiency. So when you're talking about bureaucracy, like that government institutions are bureaucratic. That they're slow, that they must only follow rules. Yes, they must follow rules, otherwise they will be jailed. That they will do, they will follow, they must follow rules. They must get approval for to sit down, self. They must get and they must get approval to sit down. That everything must, that they're slow, they follow rules, they like too much documentation, you know. That's so they will do a lot of these things at the expense of being very efficient. That the government institutions will do these things at the expense of efficiency. Once again, can government institutions decide not to be bureaucratic at all? I doubt. Maybe they can reduce that bureaucracy, but they will have to follow through with a level of bureaucracy. They say government is inefficient, right? That's what people say. That government is inefficient, isn't it? That government is slow. Yeah, they take time and take too much time to do everything. That can change. The more government institutions adopt technology, the more these things will change, right? So there are many reasons why people say, oh, bureaucracy is not good. But as I said, there has to be a level of bureaucracy. All right. So the world, this is how the world believes that. And I mean, government is government everywhere. Even in the UK and in the US, they have their own issues and challenges. Okay. But can government be efficient? Yes. One of the things that will help and force government institutions to be efficient is technology. Land management system will help. Environmental management system, sanitation management system, all sorts of systems, right? So connected government systems. I used to do something with Microsoft. We used to call it connected government. Transportation system, the connected government that shows e-government, connected government from Cisco, from Microsoft, electronic governance system, all those kinds of things that if the government embarks upon uh, these things, that they're automatically forced to be efficient. I find that thing. I used to do it a while ago. The connected government, Microsoft connected government. I think IBM also used to have something called the IBM connected government. Cisco also used to have that when all I did was to do technology things every day. Cisco also has that, the connected government framework. Yeah. Healthcare, education. Yeah, yeah. I remember. I used to do it for a living. Connected government trying to encourage government institutions to use more technology. That government institutions need to use technology in education, in transportation, in different parts. So they this will be called the Connected Government Series. That's what it was called. Okay. So yeah. Okay, connected government actually. Yeah. Okay, people, I think it's time for us to go for connected government. So Max Weber, bureaucracy, the pros and the cons of bureaucracy. Pros and cons of bureaucracy. The pros and the cons of bureaucracy. Advantages All right. And disadvantages, okay. Uh yeah. It has disadvantages, but it also has its disadvantages. And that gentleman, Max Weber, wrote a lot about this whole conversation around the pros and the cons of bureaucracy. So once again, there are advantages, there are disadvantages to the whole thing. So you can't look at it only from one perspective. Um, all right. So some people will argue if we're in a class and we had a lot of time, and maybe in a physical class, we will have a competition, argue for and against bureaucracy, right? Merits and demerits, the merits and the demerits of bureaucracy. But within government, bureaucracy is the order of the day. But technology will make governments much more uh, less bureaucratic. Technology will make government institutions less bureaucratic. Right. And that's where technology comes in. Technology enabled government, right? Uh, so they call it the connected government, but they also call it the technology enabled government. The technology enabled government. Different parts of governance as it is. All right, people, thank you very much. It's been great having you all. We've been here since for the past 2 hours, and I think we've covered quite some ground. We will come back and we will round this up when we are back. Technology enabled, right? So thank you very much, everybody. We will see you. Please remember to come back. And once again, you can still call your friends, you can still call your sisters, you can still call your cousins, you can still call your enemies to join us when we come back, and we will round up public administration for today. Thank you, everyone, and I will see you in a bit. Thank you.